Greetings and welcome to the Talk to Me America show, where the world wants to know what you have to say. So call me and tell them like it is. Of course, I'll let you know when. Phone lines aren't quite open yet. Got to do my intro, and I don't want to be interrupted while I shout out to everybody else. Let's see. Wow, lots of action in the chat. Adam, my intro is so funny. I'm glad you like it. It was meant to be somewhat ironic, funny, and you know, catch attention. If it makes you laugh, that even the better. Pastor Chatelet, welcome to the show, my main moderator. He is on here. I'm your ninja. Welcome to the show. I guess I'm saying hello to everyone first. Limited access. Everyone says 5x5. Yeah, I've actually caught on to that. That's one of the reasons why I start with an intro page, so that I can make sure everything's working. So instead of worrying about it, I just automatically reset it. I don't know why it makes me do that anyway, so that's why it's been 5x5 straight up. So in fact, Odysee was the fastest one to come on. I've got the least amount of lag on it right now, as far as from what I say and what you see. Right. That was right. That was right. Okay. All right. Welcome. Of course, you guys know I'm ldghwih, your hostess. Thank you for clicking on my little acre of the internet today. Let's see. We'll get right into the plugs. Of course, you know by the title, this is what I'm covering today. And happy 420 to everyone. Sparky, welcome. Limited access Bruin Backhand over there on YouTube. So far, nobody on Rumble yet. Oops. I didn't want to do that. How do I go back? Okay. Everything looks good so far. I see there are people watching me over there on Rumble, so say hello. Say something, at least. Click the like button, click the share button. Actually, share. The whole world needs to be, well, at least the United States. But the whole world is invited to talk if they want to talk. I'm sure everyone has opinions on what's going on over here as far as that goes. Lizzie Longtoes. Badass Brad Allen. Welcome. American Dream. Super Trucker. Adam. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Let's see. I'm your ninja, limited access. So far, I got everyone. Oh, American Dream. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Appreciate y'all being here. Again, like I say, share. Tweet me out, whatever else. Share it to everybody. Share to the world. Zero Die. Welcome. Chillin' about to make a coffee. Yes. Actually, I'm going to get one of those in a little bit myself. My old man says, I might take a few minutes out of my day to go and make you a coffee for your show. He usually does. He's good about that. All right. Skeletor, welcome to the show. Cooking dinner. Okay, yeah, I listen to this stuff while I'm cooking sometimes too. 451 Actual, welcome to the show. In fact, I'm just getting ready to do my plugs so that I can start on my show. All right, let's see. My plugs, of course, 451 Actual, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Actually, I got to get with you. I want to do one of those hostile takeovers. We need to do some classic. We need to do a big classic rock block or something like that. Guitar heroes or some shit. People that, probably some stuff that people don't usually think of when they think of classic rock. So, things like that. Let's see. 451 Actual, Pastor Chatelet, as always. Red Dawn Radio, DJ Brandrack. I see that he's back on Odysee. Good job, everyone. Good job, DJ Brandrack. The Drunken Rocky, which don't forget his show's on after mine. Right after we finish. Raynoth, he's got a show every day. I'm going to get back with you guys one of these days. Might just drop in on a Tuesday. All right, Lizzie Longtoes is over on Rumble as well. Like I say, share them all. I am on Rumble, YouTube, and Odysee tonight. I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay on YouTube. Although, I so far haven't lost but one what do they call those? Rebuttals or whatever like that. Well, I've lost a couple. Actually, there was a couple that I wouldn't even allowed to rebut. So, but the last video I got on there, actually, they cut it off. I think they cut it off because of the fact they didn't want anybody to see that people like Trump, especially like the UFC dude, and the shit-eating grin on Joe Rogan's face while this fighting champion, I forget his name, was talking about how Trump was the best. They just didn't, they copyrighted it, but it was like, how could they copyright something that's been all over and that I got from their channel, their platform? I basically showed them what the Daily Caller was posting. So they said, oh, at first they wouldn't post it. Now it's just got a green copyright strike on it. No effect. Just letting you know that I'm using something naughty. So, like I say, I don't want to be in a bubble where everybody just agrees with you all the time. That's not the point. That's not the point of what we're put here to do as well. So I don't like YouTube, but I'm going to stick with it as long as they'll keep me there. What can I tell you? All right. Bruin Backhand says, got a good dude. Yes, he does. I do have a very good dude. I'm hanging on to him very tight. It took me 40 years to find him. So let's see. 451 actual. Did you do something? Did you do your show this morning? I thought you were on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I know that I've been seeing little things as I'm going along. I actually didn't really concentrate on a whole lot of the current events, mainly because of the fact that I wanted to do the 420 show. Why not? I got all kinds of facts, figures, and other things that you may or may not already know about the cannabis plant. Supposedly, this is the holiday, April 20th. So, we're taking a break. Yeah, that's right, dude. Welcome to the show. Wow, lots of people here today. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate y'all being here. Let's see, where did I drop off? Okay, Axe Truth, DJ Based, Kevin's Chaotic Coffee. Have you been doing anything, Kevin, lately? I haven't been up that early lately. Sorry about that. Tom from America Floats, 2 minutes to midnight. Magical Trevor, Reverend Rant. Hello, Hallie. Welcome back. Some guy from Maine, which actually supposedly he is doing. You know what? That's the only one that doesn't show up on the air on Thursday nights. Was is he still is some guy from Maine still doing his EDM music? Is that what it is? I have enough trouble keeping it with my own show sometimes. All right, and of course, Rugaru, Not Me Be, and Town for keeping us up to date on the interactive TV guide from Pure Blood TV Guide. Oh, I see we have a new. What is this? GoFundMe or something like that? Get GoFund. Get go. All right, supporting now Sergeant Daniel Perry, Legal Defense Fund, falsely indicted and convicted of murder by a Soros DA attacked by BLM riot mob. AK-47 pointed at him. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they're putting him in jail for defending himself. This is not good. Not good. Lady Zero, welcome to the show. Let's see. When you want an ice cream cone, but it's size 0. Okay, that's a bite, a small bite. All right. USA for USA, welcome. New face in the crowd, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. All right. Like I say, don't forget to check out the Pure Blood TV guide that you can find me on there. And of course, if that's one of those good things you can take a look at. if one of your favorite streamers isn't streaming at that time, you can go through and look and say, let's discover somebody else that I might like. And of course, I noticed that we're growing exponentially here. Laura Lynn, Tyler Thompson. I like the fact that you have my first name, but what's with the rest of them? Just kidding. Amp Radio with DJ Maven. Let's see. I'm seeing if there's any Monday Night Shitpost. Rise of Tyre is on here. Some bitch told me Axe Truth is on later. Black Pill Phil. That's new. To me, anyway. And Salt Team 7. That's new, too. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Boiling Point Live. Mike in the Night. Who is that? When does he come on? I don't see him on here anywhere. Alright, so, again, don't forget your Pure Blood TV guide. And, of course, let's see, tomorrow's Friday. So, 451 Actual will be starting his Big Dick Energy Brigade's radio show at 8 in the morning, as I'll follow that. Alright, I know that came out strange. What can I tell you? I'm tongue-twisted today. Alright, of course, you guys know how to support the channel. I still have, for the diehards, I still have PayPal. I've got Ko-Fi, Buy Me a Coffee, which, by the way, I actually can drink coffee again. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. It's what happens when you don't listen to your doctor. In fact, I'm getting the feeling that because of the fact that coffee made me feel so bad when I was on the medication, that he told me on purpose to keep taking the coffee so that I would have to keep coming in and seeing what was wrong, and he probably would have to have given me more pills. And I wasn't taking the ones he was giving me as it was, so... I noticed the ones that he really, really wanted me to take and really got mad at me for not taking were the most expensive ones on the list. And there was no way I was taking the cholesterol pills. Nope. No Alzheimer's for this, babe. Not through Pharmacopa anyway. Okay. Alright, and of course, all my links are below. Click on some of them, will ya? Of course, you can also, I'm also on Cash App. Main thing you can do though is to keep sharing. Share, share, share. Get everybody out here so they can get their voices heard. I don't need any meds to enjoy coffee. Well, actually, I wasn't enjoying the coffee. That was the problem. It was making me ill. And my doctor told me, oh yeah, coffee is good for you. Keep drinking the coffee. But it was making me ill until I weaned myself off of my blood pressure medication. So now I can actually do coffee again. I can't do real strong yet. I'm probably gonna have to work my way up to it. I don't want veins exploding because I used to drink some super caffeinated coffee. So thank you, Zero Die Loser. Appreciate that. But yeah, I think my doctor was actually telling me that on purpose to keep drinking coffee while I was on that medication so that he would have an excuse to give me more medication. One of the reasons why I stopped taking the medication is because of the fact that I'd go in each year for the appointment and he'd give me a clean bill of health but tell me I still needed to take a bunch of pills. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. If I'm not sick, if I'm not sick, why do I have to take more pills? Not to mention the fact he's making me take pills without testing me for certain things either. It was like, yeah, no. So, alright, I'm getting ready to open the phone lines right now. As you can see from the title of my show, we are celebrating 420, April 20th. If you have indulged in your life at all, you know exactly what that is. If not, you're getting ready to learn some odd, beautiful, wonderful, and strange things about the 420 culture. And of course, I'm not going to go over why it was made illegal. We all know that most things that are illegal are only for the government to be able to get their cut from it. So they've made it legal in certain areas, but you still have to abide by all kinds of certain rules and everything like that. Sparky wondered why the view count was low. You can't tell the difference between YouTube and Odysee, dude. Okay, let's see. I'm making sure I'm not missing nobody. I want to say hello to everybody. I try to keep up with the chats. All right. Don't forget the... Okay, reading my notes here. I'm right on time. Okay, don't forget the Pureblood TV. All right. Okay, as you know, and as we've been talking about already, is 420, and you know what that means. Today, there's actually so many things going on and so much news to be told, but this is a holiday for many. So I decided to do a whole show dedicated to pot. The ins, the outs, the opinions of many, and even some weird stuff that I had no idea that was happening. So, to get us started, let's do the 420 anthem via Family Guy.
Now everybody gather round and listen if you would. When I tell you every person needs a way of feeling good. Every kitty needs a ball of string and every dog a stick. But all you need is a bag of weed to really get a kick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A bag of weed, a bag of weed. Oh, everything is better with a bag of weed. It's the only help that you'll ever need, because everything is better with a bag of weed. There you go, you're all getting it now. When Texas people want feel good, they go a sort of queer. When stupid people need a thrill, they rent the Rocketeer. When Michael Jackson needs a rush, he humps a guy like me. Right. But all we need is a bag of weed to keep us worry-free. 1, 2, 3, oh! A bag of weed, a bag of weed. Oh, everything is better with a bag of weed. No, you don't need nothing, you don't need speed, because everything is better with a bag of weed. Have a go, Ryan. As Mr. H.L. Mencken said, the common man's a fool. And just like Helen Keller said, those doogie people boo. But try and use your heads and don't buy into all the fear. That's all we need is a bag of weed to make us want to cheer. And 1, 2, a bag of weed, a bag of weed. Oh, everything is better with a bag of weed. You can try and fight, but we're all agreed, because everything is better with a bag of weed.
Dig that polka music.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7. Oh, a bag of weed, a bag of weed. Oh, everything is better with a bag of weed. You're a happy guy when you plant the seed, because everything is better with a bag of weed. Oh, everything is better with a bag of weed.
Now, that was the song that they came up with to talk everybody into voting into legalizing it in Quahog, which actually that's actually a cute song. And of course, some of the antics in it just goes to prove that you can do anything in cartoons, of course. Brad Allen says, here's our 420 song, and it was filmed on 420 at the Vancouver Weed Protest Festival. You don't have to play it, but it's a sweet leaf sample. Okay, I'll hold on to that. I'll play that in a bit. Okay. All right, I got that. Where's the lie, though? Entertainment. Yes, today's about a lot of entertainment. Imagine the irony, though. This is one piece of current event that actually caught my eye, and I don't know if I'm sure that everyone else in the world actually came up with this as well. I'm sure that there's memes that I've missed about it as far as that goes. But how ironic that on 420, BuzzFeed News, of all things, is shutting down. I don't know why that was so funny to me, except for the fact that Buzz, Buzz, get it? Buzz. Brad Allen says, I think it was the second track we made with Kevin after we met him. Oh, okay. You talking about Chaotic Coffee with Kevin? Get high, stay asleep. Sparky. All right. So yeah, BuzzFeed News. Now, not the entire site, just the news portion of it, which, can you even actually call it that? The move came as its parent company, BuzzFeed Inc., seeks further cost cuts. And of course, this is going along with all of a lot of these companies that have been overstaffed for so long that they've lost money, they're losing money. And again, I'm not surprised that BuzzFeed News was the first thing to go, because again, it was never news. I've never considered BuzzFeed as a news organization as far as that goes. BuzzFeed News is shutting down. In an email to staff shared with NBC News, BuzzFeed Inc. CEO and co-founder Jonah Peretti said the move was part of a 15% workforce reduction across the number of teams. While layoffs are occurring across nearly every division, we've determined that the company can no longer continue to fund BuzzFeed News as a standalone organization, he wrote. Peretti said he had overinvested in BuzzFeed News because I love their work and mission so much. He overstaffed them because he loved them so much. What do you want to bet that was their write-off? Because every company like this now has some kind of division or something like that they basically write everything off. That's how a lot of them avoid paying taxes at all. This made me slow to accept that the big platforms wouldn't provide the distribution or financial support required to support premium free journalism type purpose built for social media, he wrote. He added that he had failed to hold the company to higher standards for profitability, to give it a buffer during downturns, which means he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. And he decided to be, well, most of these places, especially BuzzFeed, is one of the most woke publications out there. So this is another one of those things where, everybody, you get that idea in your head is everybody can have everything all the time, and it's not feasible. It's not real. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to be different. So too bad, so sad, but I giggle every time I think about it. BuzzFeed canceling their news division on April 20th, 420, BuzzFeed, just okay. I'll don't delete me, man. Don't delete me. All right. Yeah, they don't make money. They just make propaganda. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. These folks think that everybody wants this woke stuff. They think that they're going to reinvent us and reinvent everything after all of these years. And they can't figure out why in fact, there's a couple of people now out there that I've seen in TikToks and stuff talking about, why aren't we holding Gen X responsible for anything? And it's like, are you kidding me? Gen X wouldn't give a fuck if you did. Pretty much. That's the whole point about it. We didn't cause this shit. And most of us are not going along with this woke stuff. Just leave us alone. That's all Xers want. And that's all Xers have ever wanted. Let's see. Zom! Welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. All the way out of, I don't know, are you back home or are you still in South Africa? Let's see. ABC Spin. Elon's latest rocket explodes in 96 in the first flight. Yes, actually, that was something that I noticed that happened. I didn't see it. Of course, I didn't get to see anything astrological today. I was hoping to get to see the damn eclipse, too, and it was overcast all day. So I keep missing the astrological events. Hopefully, I won't miss the meteor shower that's coming, I believe, on the 28th or 29th. That ought to be cool. And I've got a big wide open space where I can watch it. It's supposed to be like up to 20 to 30 what do you call it? Shoots an hour. All right. Greetings. You're on the air.
Hey, it's 451.
451 actual. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, even better now.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, so yeah, I wanted well, I definitely want to say haha about BuzzFeed. We all saw that shit coming.
How ironic! Today of all days, huh?
Right, I know. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Yeah, they definitely got their buzz broken. They're probably all in their cry closet still, filling their fucking boxes to head out the door.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, I thought that was funny. But yeah, Elon's rocket. So, for people who don't know, obviously I'm a huge SpaceX nerd. I love rockets. I love space. I think it's all awesome. No matter what you think about the Earth, whether it's flat, round, donut shaped, it's on top of a giant turtle, I don't care. Powerful rockets are cool, no matter what you're shooting them into.
Oh yeah, science are cool. Science are cool.
Yeah. So I mean, this was historic. It was the largest, most powerful rocket ever built. And the last time anybody tried to launch a rocket this size, it was the Soviet Union during the space race, where they had a 30-engine rocket called the N1 that never even made it off the ground without blowing up. And so what Elon said was, listen, this is a rapid test regimen we're doing. We're building these things left and right. This is just the first time we're actually getting the opportunity to fly one. The model that they flew, the ship combination with the booster that they flew, is already obsolete. They have designs that have hundreds of improvements on them in line to go next. This was all about sending it and just collecting information. That's it. They just wanted to get as much data as they could from the flight computers. And if they made it all the way to the end, it was all a bonus. But just getting it up into the air without it exploding on the pad was a success. So the mainstream media that's trying to give Elon a big L, all they're doing is showing that they have no idea what they're talking about again. Because if they actually did their job and did some journalism, they would know that there's already 3 more iterations of vehicles ready to frickin' stack and launch. So it's like, now, I will say, they did mess up their launch pad pretty bad. I mean, it was nearly 18 million pounds of thrust going down into the ground, and so the concrete was thrown for about a mile in every direction, and there's a gigantic freaking crater underneath the launch tower now. So, and they've got a lot of repairs to do, so it'll probably be 6 months before we see another one, but totally a success. So the mainstream media can suck it. It was awesome.
Well, mainstream media never tells the truth about anything anyway.
Right.
And they always talk shit about the people that they don't want anybody else to like. So yeah.
Yep.
In fact, there was a what was it? Some kind of thing that came out. I think it was a poll or something like that as to who were the most trustworthy news organizations, and MSNBC and ABC and PBS and things like that were all last.
Right. Yeah.
So they can say this stuff all they want, but it doesn't make it true. And I don't think it's making anybody. I don't think it's making them any friends.
Right. No. And it's not. And simple stuff like that, as minuscule as it might be, there might be a lefty or a center leaning independent nerd sitting out there that knows what they watched today, knows the accomplishments that SpaceX got done today, and then they see the mainstream media doing that. That might just be the little chink in the armor for that first red pill. Like, these people are trash. They don't even know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they just shoot themselves in the foot over and over and over again. And then BuzzFeed looks around like, how did this happen? Why are we shutting down? We don't understand. Because you would have run the exact same story about Elon Musk today had you not had to shutter your fucking doors.
Yeah. Well, as I say, most of them are propaganda, and we can see the pattern since we see it now. It's always something against somebody successful.
Yeah. Yeah, accomplishing something that they can't.
And even if they make mistakes, and that's actually part of being successful, but they shun success so much, they shun every little bit part of it.
Yep.
the success and the failures. Oh, he owes us money because he's so much more successful than anybody else. But then when he fails, look at, he failed. He deserves to fail. He deserves to lose. And it's like, wow, what the hell is this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can't make up their minds. It's the same thing they did with Trump, right? Like, yeah, he's an idiot. He's gonna get us into nuclear war because he has no control. And they're like, he's a mastermind. He's just getting through all of these legal battles and all of these challenges and stuff because he's playing 4D chess. He has to be stopped. So they just can't make up their mind.
It's like, who are you guys trying to convince of this stuff?
Right, exactly.
Us or you guys? Or yourselves?
I think it's themselves, yeah.
Yeah,
because they know they're lying.
I was going to say, and they can't decide whether he's stupid or smart. I'll tell you what, you don't get that old and you don't get that rich being stupid.
Correct.
Unless you're like one of the kings or inbred people or something like that of old. What was that one that they were talking about with the elongated jaw? Weren't we watching something about that? I don't know. I don't remember if you were playing it or Pastor was playing. Somebody was playing it.
Yeah, I don't think it was me.
Oh, speaking of Pastor, I always keep forgetting. I'm sorry. Welcome to the pond as well. If I'm being simulcast over there, welcome.
Nice.
Don't forget to stop on over here and at least give a fire or a thumbs up or a comment or something to get the numbers up over here. I appreciate you being here, though. And, of course, I appreciate Pastor Shadley simulcasting me if that's what you're doing.
He's so meanses.
Nah, I know. He's so meanses. I haven't actually had a chance to talk to him. He might actually want to see this next segment that I'm going to do once we finish this phone call. Because, like I say, I went through... There you go, Adam. That's who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I got Yeah.
And I was going to say, actually, these folks here, they might have actually come by their money by being stupid, but because they're stupid, they ended up losing it all and hurting others as well. So, if you look at the history of these people. But, yeah. They never last for long when they do that kind of shit.
That's right. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to call and say hi. I'm going to be hanging out because I don't have my show tonight. So I'm going to be hanging out and celebrating 420 with you. And then I'm going to go hang out with Rocky later.
Okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate you calling. And don't forget to check out his show in the morning. Want to give yourself a plug there?
Sure. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Big Dick Energy Brigade radio show. Music, memes, and news headlines, providing the background sound to whatever ass you're kicking. Thank you, Laura. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you later. God bless. All right. All right. Cool. One of the coolest people I know on the planet. They're good old 451 actual there. And he's got one of the best radio shows I've ever seen. It kicks ass. It really does. It kicks a lot of ass. And he's very, if you haven't ever been to it, make sure you try to go to it. He's very accommodating when it comes to requests, music requests and everything like that. He's my metal man, but he also plays other good stuff. And again, I'm going to try and get with you somehow, some way. Hopefully when things slow down. I always say that, but it never happens. I'm just going to have to make time for it. But yeah, I want to come and do a hostile takeover, but I don't know how. You'll have to guide me and all of that stuff. But yeah, it's time for some good old obscure classic rock or stuff like that. Stuff that you may or may not know. Maybe I can talk you into a Frank Zappa hour. That would be awesome. We get some Dweezil in there too, though. But not Ahmed. He's a dick. Okay. All right. Of course, as believers, we have to follow certain rules. So the first and foremost thing that I would venture anybody would look into when it comes to this subject is, what does the Bible say about smoking marijuana or about marijuana, period? Now, I've never seen anything that has actually stated that actual word per se, straight up. Of course, a lot of the Bible is symbolic and figurative. You never know what part, though. I'm not an expert at this, but just some of the things that I read about this and everything like that. And of course, Pastor Shadley, you can jump in anytime. He's the expert at this stuff. You may actually be able to talk about this. Oh, I forgot to show you guys my shirt. Dave's not here, man. Jude says, the Bible says God created all seeds and the marijuana comes from a seed. Yeah. In fact, well, like I say, there is, how many was there on here? There's a couple of hundred on this one. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. This is actually from openbible.info. The first one comes up as 1 Corinthians, or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own. You were bought with a price, so glorify God in your body. Actually, as I was reading through some of these, they seemed not necessarily contradictory, but the message that I got was, God gave you this. God gave you everything that you actually could possibly need on earth without man's help. Okay? That's what most people believe as he was the creator as far as that goes. In fact, that's why I don't get upset when people call it the devil's lettuce or the devil's whatever it is, because the devil, if we all know that the devil didn't create anything. Especially that. So, and God is the only creator here. So, when you call it the devil's lettuce, should everybody have some? No, but again, there's something for everyone as far as that goes. Nice shirt. Yeah, Dave's not here. Mr. Burt Reynolds and Ms. Dolly Parton. 1205, welcome to the show. Welcome. Cookie Monster, Russian Bot, welcome to the show. Let's see. Okay. Actually, the one that was a little bit better and went into a little, it was the King James Bible version here. And they put them all in order, starting at Genesis 1:12. And the earth brought forth grass and herb, yielding seed that after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Genesis 1:29, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. M-E-A-T. Every moving thing, Genesis 9:3, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb I have given you all things. That's why I say those three right there just tell me, when people call it the devil's lettuce, they don't know what they're talking about. Because, again, the devil didn't create anything. He'd like to think he did, I think. He wanted to. Then Proverbs 26:13 through 16. The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way. A lion is in the streets. As the door turneth upon his hinges, so doth the slothful upon his bed. The slothful hideth his hand in bosom. It grieveth him to bring it again to his mouth. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason. Again, I'm not an expert in any of this, but again, between the positive and the negative on this, my message is everything in moderation. It's there for you if you need it. Basically. Well, as like I say, and let's see. What else did I want to say about this? Well, I was just like I say, I was reading scripture. Like I say, if anybody can, Pastor, that thread kept on producing for a while. Oh, you guys were on Twitter messing with somebody again? MJ has medicinal properties. It's actually good for RA, but Big Pharma doesn't like the natural remedies. No, they don't. In fact, I've been reading some things about some of the things that like are in the woods, because I live out in the woods and stuff like that. Greetings, you're on the air.
Hey, sister, this is Adam.
Adams, brother Adam, how are you?
I'll try to be quick on this one. I just wanted to add about how, God did create all things of the earth. And
right.
There are different plant medicines that produce different effects.
Right.
And honestly speaking, there's a lot of them that our government, they'd rather have us have fentanyl, than have actual medicines from the earth that could help us. And, I've done, someone in the chat's mentioned like cocaine, right? Oh, God created that. No, God created the coca plant. I've had the coca plant, just like eating these leaves, Very different experience. I've had ayahuasca. I've had wachuma. And these things bring out better parts of yourself, especially when you've been sucked into the beast system so deeply. And that's not to say that I have to go and accept the religion of the people who, profess these types of, natural medicines of the earth. But I can learn from that. And when you have a really, really strong Christ-centered consciousness, and I don't mean Christ consciousness like, I mean your consciousness is centered on Christ. It frees you. And when you can accept and experience that with God, because this world tries to keep us from God. And if you, for example, get high with your friends and you study scripture, God smiles upon that. It's not like you're getting high and going and doing, it's the devil's music. Well, they're kind of right about that. But it's like, what do you do with the substances that God leaves you with, right? What do you do with that experience?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could share food. Food it gives you endorphins. If I share food with my friends in communion of Christ, that's one thing versus and go, with the guys, the strip club, and get drunk and eat a bunch of bullshit. And, it's like you're gonna just take away everything. It depends on what you're doing,
Right.
And it's not about what you put in your body, right? It's not what the man puts in himself that defiles him, but what comes out of his mouth, which really just means what comes from your heart. What is it that you're saying or expressing? I don't know. Kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, well, you're getting there, and like I say, now people are talking about. You were talking about cocaine earlier. The actual coca leaf itself, is given to us and does have certain medicinal properties and things like that, and they've proven those. But when a man gets a hold of it and then processes it into some different things, and then they get greedy and start cutting it and everything like with other things and everything like that, then that's not God's creation anymore.
Exactly, right? That's a really good point to what you were saying about what you say, that without the help of man or the hands of man or
Mm-hmm.
like that. Oh my God.
You put the thoughts of man and the hands of man and the greed of man on it, it doesn't become God's creation anymore, in my opinion. I put it this way: I've seen more religions that are based around marijuana, which I'm going to show you that here in a little bit too, than I have about any other drug.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We'll put it up. I'll be happy to watch. I'll let you go back to your show.
There's quite a few, actually. I actually grew up with one in Miami. They were the Yahwehs or something like that. And that was, their religion was based on marijuana, and they had to let it go because it was freedom of religion. They couldn't go against their First Amendment rights. It was crazy. They weren't bad people, though. They didn't do, they weren't nuts like these people that get crazy on like whatever bath salts or whatever it is that's eating people's flesh now. That can't be godly. That can't be.
No, I don't think that just, eating whatever, taking kind of whatever drugs, it's why are you doing it? And plus, all those things can be abused, of course. They should have a purpose of some kind, if you need it. I think the only one we really genuinely need is because we're basically traumatized by this beast system world that we all live in, and we're all forced to live in.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Arrow 7. Was that all you had to say there? Yeah,
I'm good.
Okay, I was gonna say you wanna shout yourself out.
I'm gonna shout out. I'm Gay Adam, everybody. No, you don't know who I am.
Okay, Gay Adam. All right, Gay Adam with a wife and how many kids now?
3, working on number 4.
Okay, there you go. Gay Adam, very Gay Adam.
I'm happy gay. I'm happy gay.
Oh, okay. All right, not rainbow gay, which that was God's promise anyway.
From God.
Yeah.
The pride flag has 6 colors. It's it's the colorable colors. It's different. All right, I'm gonna go.
Thanks for calling, man.
Of course, sister. Of course. All right, bye.
You have a good night. God bless. All right, great caller. Arrow 7. The Bible doesn't say don't drink or get high. It says it's foolish to drink until you're out of control. That's just common sense. The use of marijuana is like eating sugar, not the best thing, but enjoyable. Actually, I think they demonize sugar too much too. Your body and brain actually runs on simple sugars, believe it or not. But they don't want you to eat anything that's possibly free. This is another reason why a lot of this stuff has been demonized, like dandelions and things like that. Is because of the fact that first of all, the same company that owns the heart medications and everything like that is the same company that owns Roundup. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to tell you, oh, none of this stuff works. None of these old remedies that have worked up until the very 1800s, until medicine got petroleumized, if you will. All of this stuff was all quackery now. That's bullshit. So I say, anybody that actually believes should know that the things on the earth are provided for us here to live and to take care of ourselves and to medical and everything like that. It's not up to a few people who've decided this for us that just want to make money off of us. Hell, you got one company that decided that they own all the damn water. No. Let's see. Arrow 7 says, where is the verse saying don't smoke weed? There isn't one. So I say, none of these were really to the point. But the message that I got from them was the same thing that you said. That they're not told not to do these things. They're just told that moderation. Moderation is key. And only, if you need it or if it's medicinal or something like that. Youngberg, welcome. And thank you for the 420. You get one of these. Thank you for the donation. A super chat over here on Odysee. You can super chat me on Odysee. You can also super chat me on Rumble. You can also scan my little thingy there for Cash App. And etc. You guys know the drill. And of course, the best thing you can do is share. Tweet me, or whatever else, other platforms that you might be on. Tweet me, get everybody out there, get everybody calling in and using their First Amendment rights while we celebrate 420. Let's see, Proverbs. It goes all the way from Genesis to Proverbs to Matthew. So a couple of Old Testament. And then all the New Testaments in here, it looks like. Galatians, Ephesians, Thessalonians, Timothy, Titus, Peter, 1 John. Let's see, Titus. For this cause left I thee in Crete, that thou shouldest set in order the things that are wanting, and order elders in every city, as I have appointed thee. If any be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accused of riot or unruly. For a bishop must be blameless as the steward of God, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, no striker, not given to filthy lucre, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, holy, temperate, holding fast the faithful word, as he hath been taught, that he may be able to sound doctrine, both to exhort and to convince gainsayers. Look at this pic. You just took that pic earlier. Youngberg. Oh, that's right. You work at one of those places, don't you? Those look pretty. How can you say that that's anything other than some of God's creation right there? If you're on Odysee, you see what he's talking about. He posted a picture of one of his crops, I guess. All right, what's the next thing? All right, now here's the next thing. Here's something that we all didn't really know about, but ended up, for some of us, being lagniappe when it came to the RSV. That's virus backwards. Mashable from Southeast Asia figures they're doing experiments on this over there. Some cannabis compounds can block COVID-19 infections, new study finds. This is actually from January 13th, about a year and a half ago now. Maybe your stoner friends were right about its health benefits. Like I say, it ended up being lagniappe for any of us that that do this and didn't have a whole lot of problems with the Rusty. Most of my friends in the music business, I could always tell the ones who did and the ones who didn't. Mainly because of how long they stayed sick. Because, I mean, everybody caught this. Everybody caught this. Except for very, very few people. And a lot of the ones that I know, like I say, my friends in music and everything like that, you could tell who did and who didn't. From this. The ones that stayed sick for a long time. Or the ones that we lost. We lost a few of them locally as far as that goes from this as well. But it seems like, and the more we talked about it to these people and everything like it seemed like the people that smoke on a regular basis, and not just weed, cigarettes as well. But the people that smoked didn't catch it as bad. Like, I used to smoke. I quit 20 years ago, but evidently there's still something to me or whatever like that. I got it, but my husband has never smoked a day in his life. Anything. And he was in the hospital for 18 days, and he was at the mercy of Fauci's remdesivir and all that other shit. Okay. Limited Access says some cannabis compounds probably cure cancer as well. Thank you, Rock Candy. Welcome to the show. Appreciate the library coin. Happy 420, everyone. Yes. Weed louder than lungs coated in resin COVID-19. Yeah. So, whether you blaze it or not, there's no discounting the fact that cannabis has been proven to provide various therapeutic benefits, especially among the terminally ill. Now, I do know that I had a girlfriend. I think I told you about my girlfriend that had Alzheimer's. And one of the things that really soothed, she had the really bad tremors and things like that. And one of the things that actually soothed her daughter finally managed to get her some edibles. And she thought they were really strong and everything like that. They helped her a whole lot. She became way more coherent. She became way less... she was very self-conscious about shaking all the time and trying to be able to walk and stuff. Because it happened. Her legs, it happened. She was a beautiful lady, had a gorgeous voice, and Alzheimer's just slowly and surely deteriorated it away. But even her doctor, see, we're in Texas and it's not really legal here for anything yet. But her own doctor had mentioned, man, if it was legal here, I would be prescribing it to you immediately, because that's one of the only things that seemed to help her. And people like that as far as that goes too. So it does have a lot of benefits. It does. And we'll show you a couple of those as well. And some myths as well. While you may have a friend or two that constantly raves on about the plant's other supposed benefits, which may or may not hold much significant scientific weight, it seems there's one thing we can all learn today. Certain compounds of cannabis have the ability to block SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19 infection, from entering our cells. Cannabis acids binding onto SARS-CoV-2. Actually, another example too was one of our sons smoked cigarettes. The other one, once in a while, will smoke a cigar. The one that smoked cigarettes didn't. He got it, but he got like the skin part of it. He said his skin was like burning and stuff like that. But he didn't get any of the coughing. He didn't get any of the other. He got some of the stomach problems, but he didn't have to go into the hospital, and he was better within a couple of days. The other son that every once in a while will smoke a cigar or something, doesn't smoke regularly, in the hospital for 6 days with the COVID. Couldn't breathe, had to be put with the oxygen. It's like, so it was the same with our daughter and her husband at the time. He smoked cigarettes regularly. She didn't smoke. She's never smoked. She was deathly ill. She almost died from this stuff, and he barely caught it. I think she said he had a little cough and a little fever for a day or two, and that was it. Maybe the stomach problem or something. So, yeah, it's been anecdotal since way before this, but they're just now studying it. And of course, why aren't we marketing this? They're still pushing this other death fluid that's administered by syringe. But this wouldn't make them any money. Although they haven't figured out how to make themselves money for that yet. That's why a lot of these things are illegal. Basically, they give you a license to do illegal things. You know, it's illegal to drive a car without a license and all that other shit you got to do for a car. Why? That's how they keep track of you and how they keep you under their thumb. It's important to note that, however, that THC is technically a controlled substance. Yeah, legality and all that. This meant the researchers weren't able to get enough on hand to really get a grasp of its effects in the study. Okay, so yeah, so they don't even really want them to study it. And of course, this is over in Asia, where this stuff is actually illegal. They won't let you carry it around or have it for any reason whatsoever, even if you're an apothecary over there. CBGA can only be found while the cannabis plant is still in its growing phase, while CBDA can be converted into CBD when heated up as a smoke or vapor. Researchers had enough of both compounds, thankfully. The series of experiments they conducted are actually quite straightforward. They had incubated a live virus with each cannabis compound for 24 hours and then injected them into human epithelial cells, typically found on your skin or on your blood vessels. Their observations found that both CBGA and CBDA treated cells lacked any SARS-CoV-2 RNA, effectively zero COVID-19 presence. More encouraging is the fact that additional tests on live samples of the alpha and beta variants also yielded the same results, no SARS-CoV-2 RNA. Our data show minimal impact of the variant lineages of the effectiveness of CBDA and CBGA, a trend that will hopefully extend to other existing and future variants, the researchers said in their peer-reviewed study published in a Journal of Natural Products. Sorry to get your hopes up, but nope. It's not technically possible to get CBGA or CBDA in any form that will get you flying like a kite. Okay, so the CBD portion of it, not the THC portion of it, is actually supposedly what helped in preventing COVID-19 infections. And what can I say? If it works, it works. You know, again, it's not meant for everybody, and I'm sure that there's actually probably something else natural that would help those folks as well. You just never know. Let's see. THC is not illegal, just Delta-9 in Texas, so only after burnt, decarboxylated. Really? That's interesting. So I guess, what, so what, in Texas are the edibles legal? Or whatever? I have no idea. I have no idea. Let's see. They're cultural rules, not biblical rules. Yes. Sugar is genuinely bad for you, worse than marijuana. Now, don't forget, sugar cane is actually another thing that God made for us too. Obviously, the way that it's processed might actually be the problem with some of the sugars and stuff like that. All right, what do we got next here? So, it seems like also something that the Lord's supply might have done, this COVID-19 infection thing, was to protect those who choose to use his creations instead of man's, which, again, like I said earlier, we're finding out that all of the things associated with this Rusby that are causing ends of lives, etc., were all man-made and planned. All right. You guys have seen this one before. It's hilarious, but it's perfect for the day. Little levity.
Greg, you're home.
I couldn't miss Christmas.
No one else is up yet.
I know how to get them up.
Is that Togler's?
Granny wants to get it on. Talk about wake and bake.
Greg!
Merry Christmas, Mom.
Stoner Craig! Ebb Tide, welcome.
Toplers.
Oh, that's so funny. Christmas at Youngberg's. Is that true? All right. Now, we're going to go into some of the misconceptions that they're claiming about marijuana. Still trying to program us about this stuff, of course. One of the, let's see, this comes from a recovery site, Recovery Ways, addiction and mental health programs, and etc. and etc. So, of course, you know, they're going to try and dissuade you, I guess, from doing any of these things, especially if they're a recovery place. Excuse me. One of the first misconceptions that they keep talking about, marijuana is not addictive. It's often said that marijuana isn't addictive or that it's psychologically addictive, but not physically addictive. Thank you, sweetie. Gotta have some more water. It's dry today. It's been threatening to rain, but it's still been low humidity. It's weird. All right. Where was I? Studies show that about 9% of heavy marijuana users develop a serious addiction. Compared to that, about 15% of heavy drinkers will develop an alcohol addiction. 17% of cocaine users will develop an addiction, and about 23% of heroin users will become addicted. That's not true. What is it they tell you about heroin? Not even once. Same thing with crack. Not even once. So I don't know what they're talking about here. And what happens when someone gets a serious marijuana addiction? Has anybody seen anything like that happen? I mean, do they go out and start stealing from everybody and picking their skin off and doing things like that? I don't know. Let's see. Of course, they compare it to these other ones, and it's only 9% of marijuana users, as opposed to 15% for drinkers, which I think it's higher, 17% for cocaine users, and 23% for heroin users. Clearly, marijuana is not extremely addictive, but it's extremely popular. One doesn't have anything to do with the other. Many more people use marijuana than use cocaine, heroin, and other illicit drugs. Yeah, it's easier to get now that they've made it legal in a lot of places. In fact, there's been a downtick in the, supposedly in the prescription drugs as well that people were getting now that they've gone to medical marijuana. About 8 million Americans say that they use marijuana every day, compared to just under 1 million who say that they used heroin in the past year. That means about 720,000 Americans will become addicted to marijuana, compared to an upper limit of 230,000 who will become addicted to heroin. They forget to tell them about the people that overdose on this stuff too. Although marijuana is less addictive, the numbers make up for it. Really? What a convincing article of it. People who are addicted to marijuana will likely experience withdrawal symptoms when they quit. These typically include irritability, anxiety, depressed mood, shaking, headaches, restlessness, insomnia, fever, chills, and stomach pains. Has anybody gone through any of that? I don't know of anybody. They say you can't overdose on marijuana. It would be extremely difficult to die from an overdose, but it is certainly possible to use too much. For a marijuana overdose to be fatal, you would have to consume about 1,000 pounds per minute, which is clearly impossible. So they're saying you can't overdose on it. It's clearly impossible, but it's a myth that you can't overdose on it. This site it doesn't make sense. Is this making any sense to any of you guys out there that I'm reading this to? However, it's possible to use too much. It's better. While these won't kill you, they can make for several unpleasant hours. That's it. And I still think that might have more to do with how they process it or what happens to it before you get it. You can beat a drug test. That's supposedly a myth. They're trying to scare you into saying, no matter what you do, you're not going to get away with this. There are a number of folk remedies for beating a drug test, but none of them appear to actually work. Some people think you can drink a lot of water to flush the THC out of your system, or drink some kind of herbal concoction. Sometimes people try to sweat it out. None of this really works. The half-life of THC is about 3 or 4 days, which is pretty long. Caffeine, by comparison, has a half-life of about 4 to 6 hours. That means when you use marijuana, only half the THC you consume is gone after 3 or 4 days. If you use regularly, especially your daily, THC builds up and it takes longer and longer to get it out of your system. For heavy users, it can take more than a month. However, since THC is stored in the fat cells, intense exercise combined with a sensible diet may speed the process slightly. Okay, so they're showing you how to pass a drug test, but they're also telling you it's impossible. You're still going to be in rehab. Then they tell you marijuana improves creativity. As with the gateway drug myths, correlation does not mean causation. While many artists, writers, and musicians have used marijuana, it doesn't really make you more creative. One study gave participants varying doses of THC and asked them to solve a series of divergent and convergent problems to test their creativity. The participants who received the highest dose of THC did the worst, and none of the groups performed better than the participants who got no THC. However, the study did find that people who got higher doses of the THC believed they were more creative. Real creativity requires a lot of creative output plus high connectivity between different parts of the brain, and marijuana promotes neither of those. Okay. Marijuana doesn't harm your lungs. Again, these are myths. Marijuana is most frequently smoked, but generally people don't believe it's bad for your lungs. However, inhaling smoke is bad for your lungs. Yeah, carcinogens, any carcinogens. In fact, they're trying to tell you the same thing about the vapes, too. Anything that is not supposed to go in your lungs, other than oxygen, is not good for you. It's gonna mess you up eventually. Smoking, according to the American Lung Association, marijuana smoke has many of the same carcinogens as cigarette smoke. No, it doesn't. Smoking marijuana regularly can lead to chronic bronchitis and increased risk of respiratory infection. Despite its potential for harm to the lungs, people typically use marijuana differently from cigarettes. Few people smoke the equivalent of a pack a day of marijuana. However, when people smoke marijuana, they typically hold it in their lungs longer, increasing the exposure. Yeah. If you or someone you love is struggling with marijuana addiction or mental illness, we can help. They correlate the two here, marijuana addiction or mental illness. I love these people. Like I say, the more people they have in their programs, the more money they make. All right, here now the Washington Post, the Washington Compost, as most people call it, actually got in the act too. 5 myths about marijuana. No, it doesn't lead to violent crime, and no, those strains aren't that different. Perspective by Christopher Ingram, or Ingraham. Christopher Ingram was a reporter on the Post business desk from 2014 to 2021. He currently writes the Y-Axis, a newsletter about the data shaping and informing our lives. He wrote this on July 15, 2021. Early in the morning. It's been 7 years since the country's first legal recreation marijuana shops opened in Colorado and Washington state. What was once a bold social experiment is now commonplace, with 18 plus states representing well over 1/3 of the United States population permitting recreational use. Nevertheless, myths about marijuana use and legalization remain widespread. Some are stubborn artifacts of the long-standing war on drugs, while others reflect the influence of a growing industry looking to attract new customers. Here are a few of the most persistent ones. Myth number 1. Now, this sounds like they're going the opposite way on this. Let's see. So, smoking weed is a mental illness, but cutting off your genitals is not. Lady Ninja. Yeah, tell me about it. So, if you're pot smoking training, please go see them. Yes, he did say a pack of marijuana. Carbon monoxide isn't all smoke. That's right, Space Cowboy. All right, cannabis is the M word, is made up for propaganda purposes. Yes, marijuana is. All right, myth number 1, but it's been accepted since what, the 50s? So, do most marijuana is a gateway drug? Do most people who use other drugs start with marijuana? Most definitely. reads a fact sheet on the website of Smart Approaches to Marijuana, a prominent anti-pot organization. Research demonstrates that 99% of those addicted to other drugs started with alcohol and marijuana, the group claims. Pot-squeamish politicians, including New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, President Biden, and Representative Andy Harris, Republican Maryland, have cited this gateway theory as a reason to keep restrictions in place. Well, that was actually one of the things that they came up with when they were trying to get it made illegal. In fact, the textile companies, a lot of the big gurus for the textile companies and the oil companies and everything like that were the ones that rallied against doing this. In fact, they even said things to the effect that it makes black men want to fuck white women. Yeah. I couldn't believe anybody believed that shit even back then. But we seem to be getting more and more superstitious as time goes by. It's really kind of weird. In reality, no credible evidence shows that pot makes people more inclined to use other drugs. That, at least, was a conclusion of an exhaustive 96-page inquiry by the Justice Department of the Library of Congress. No casual link between cannabis use and the use of other illicit drugs can be claimed at this time, the author wrote. The shoddy reasoning undergirding the gateway theory is on full display in Sam's statements. It's true, for instance, that most people who use opiates and other dangerous drugs have also used marijuana at some point in their lives. However, you can make the same claim about alcohol, cigarettes, caffeine, or just about any other common substance. 99% of those addicted to other drugs started with milk is a true statement and also perfectly meaningless. Yeah. Pastor Shadley says, yeah, but it made me want to fuck white women. No, well, okay. If you say so. Myth number 2. Marijuana leads to violent crime. Again, there's no study on this myth. This myth has gained some steam because of the 2019 publication of Tell Your Children the Truth About Marijuana, Mental Illness, and Violence. 3 things that have absolutely nothing to do with one another. A polemic by Alex Berenson, a former New York Times reporter, who has also gained attention for his aggressively skeptical coverage of the pandemic and the coronavirus vaccines. Good! In the book and elsewhere, Berenson's attempt to tie marijuana legalization to increases in murders and assaults. Marijuana causes psychosis. Psychosis causes violence. He sounds like he's been watching the Reefer Madness movie. Other prohibitionists have attempted to show a link between marijuana use and mass shootings. Was there any? The only link I ever saw between any of these were the psychotropic drugs. Drubs. Might as well be drubs. Let's see. Beyond that, scholars have done plenty of rigorous work directly examining the relationship between marijuana use and crime, and for all intents and purposes, they haven't found one. In 2013, a sweeping review of the evidence conducted by Rand Corp on behalf of the White House concluded that marijuana use does not induce violent crime. Now, the sales of it might, depending on who's doing the selling and if they've got any kind of, now this might be a movie thing, but like people in other people's territories and shit like that, that might actually cause some kind of violence. Now, whether they're using it at the same time or not, who knows? But myth number 3. But potency is an important indicator of quality and safety. No topic in marijuana produces a greater noise-to-signal ratio than potency, or the concentration of THC, the plant's main psychoactive compound. In a given product, the plant's main psychoactive compound in a given product. Legalization skeptics today claim today's cannabis is stronger than ever before. Not your father's marijuana, as they say. Pot advocates, meanwhile, often say stronger weed is better because you can theoretically consume less of it to achieve the same high. Justification. But But drug warriors have been issuing dire proclamations about pot potency since at least the 1940s, like I told you before. That's when they came up with some of the language. That's when they came up with some of the words. Marijuana, different things to propagate you. That said, marijuana is getting stronger, although it's hard to say by exactly how much. How do we know this? And again, all we can do is farm it. It still comes from the creator. Not just the white ones. Pastor Chatelet, shame on you. You need to go to confession. You need Jesus. I see. There's a little reefer madness meme there. Makes you want to take off your clothes, does it? I thought tequila did that. Onyx Maduros, my favorite. One of the things I always heard that might possibly be a myth was that there was supposedly marijuana in Cuban cigars. Is that the truth? Is that one of the reasons? Because they kept saying, "Oh, that's one of the reasons why it's illegal here. Why Cuban cigars are illegal here." I thought it was just the embargoes and everything. We don't really trade with them or anything like that. Not to mention that most of the good cigar rollers now live here, don't they? They ran from that shit too. Violence on gut, maybe. Yeah. And on your lungs. Myth number 4. Different strains produce different intoxicating effects. Speaking of labels at dispensaries, pot connoisseurs often rhapsodize about their favorite strains the way wine snobs discuss their favorite Chardonnays. And coffee snobs too. Product descriptions promise effects from locking you to the couch to motivating you to clean the house. But scientists who studied the genetics of cannabis strains say those alleged distinctions have little grounding in reality. Again, another sales tactic, another way to propagandize you into buying the more expensive stuff. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. It's a sales gimmick. You don't sell the steak, you sell the sizzle. Right? Let's see. Marijuana strain name does not necessarily represent a genetically unique variety, the authors wrote. In about a third of the plants they studied, individual samples were more genetically similar to samples with different strain names than to samples with identical names. The 2019 study failed to find meaningful genetic differences between the two major varieties, indica and sativa, often said to produce very different types of intoxication. An analysis in 2018 concluded that the concept of strain does not reflect the crop domestication, breeding programs, or plant chemistry. So again, just a way to sell you more pot in these places that have become legal, it sounds like to me. Because, I mean, because now I'm not a big connoisseur and I wasn't in the lifestyle all of that much or anything like that. But you hear the kids talk in high school and stuff like that, and you would always run around a corner somewhere and catch somebody smoking a joint or somewhere like that. And I never heard them say anything other than what? Let me see if I can remember. You never heard them say anything other than, "Oh, I got some good scents for you, man," or "I got some skunk weed," or something like that. Now it's all this lemon drop pie and blueberry this and what the hell? Not to mention the fact, again, what are men doing to this particular stuff, to this particular plant, to make it more ungodly as far as that goes, with the flavors and the different strains and all this other? Why? Again, a lot of it is propaganda to get you to buy more, to get you to buy the better stuff or the more expensive stuff. And as far as we know, they could be telling us that the bullshit is the best stuff and the best stuff is the bullshit just to get us to pay more money for the bullshit. Does that make sense? Minj Kamer. Mijin. Welcome to the show. Another new face in the chat. Picasso was stillborn. They thought he had died, placed him on a side table and tended to his mother. Pablo's uncle was a doctor. He fired up a cigar and blew smoke in Pablo's nostrils And Pablo began crying. This could explain some of Picasso's works. Was it a cigar or was it a blunt? Adam says, I'm smoking Bubba Glue right now. Yeah, what makes that any different than anything else? That's what I just say. Until just recently, I've never heard hardly any names for weed from any of the people that I knew or anything like that. It was never, oh, here's some blueberry kush, or here's this, or sour diesel, or this or that, the other. I looked up and it's like there's thousands and thousands and thousands of different names for different strains of weed, and it's like it can't be that big. The strains can't be all that big. I know that they come in different colors. That was something else I found out while I was doing research for this show. Wowzers, we've been talking forever about this. I still got way more things to tell you about. I'll skip this. I was going to show you all the celebrities, but I got over 60 of them. So there was it was a Ranker article. Just know that most celebrities smoke weed. Ooh, excuse me. I think most of those guys do that for the fact that they're having to hide some of the atrocious things that they've done to be in the circles that they're in, but we'll go there some other time. I was going to say, a lot of people surround themselves, and this was actually one of the, now, they don't call themselves a religion, but, I mean, come on. But we even have weed nuns. Check this out. This is what I was talking about, Adam.
Meet the Sisters of the Valley. They are California's self-ordained weed nuns, and they have responded to a higher calling, though they are not part of any religious order.
We're against religions, so we're not a religion. We consider ourselves Beguine revivalists, and we reach back to Christian practices. And our clothes are not so much that of a nun.
And there was religion before Christ.
Our clothes, through our clothes, we are showing respect to a plant that has been lied about and disrespected for 100 years.
Right.
The women grow and harvest their own cannabis plants according to the moon cycles. And sitting around a kitchen table, the women trim the plants, then cook the cannabis to make balms and ointments, which they say have the power to heal and to improve one's well-being.
So we grow it, we dry it, and then in these pots, we cook it in coconut oil at 130 degrees. Then we strain the plant out, and what you see the women doing here is the final stage where they are adding essential oils and beeswax and jarring it for shipping to the customers.
Sister Kate said she adopted her nun persona after dressing as a nun during an Occupy Wall Street protest. But this operation is not an act of civil disobedience. California is one of more than 24 U.S. states that have legalized some form of marijuana for medical or recreational use, but the drug is still illegal at the federal level.
Today I'm going to show you how to make a superfood that'll last a lifetime.
Which doesn't seem to make any difference to these people. And like I say, the feds don't seem to be going into it that much. What was that just pulled up? Okay. At least they're doing one thing right. Shout out to California. Growing by the moon is good, but harvest is determined by the plant. Yes, actually, that's true. All right. Let's see. Quick overview on what they actually use medical marijuana for. Epilepsy, glaucoma, mental health conditions like schizophrenia and post-traumatic stress disorder. I know that a lot of them wanted to put the veterans were fighting for it there for a while too. Is that a weed cult? You could call it that. They're like weed nuns. Of course, they say that they are doing practices before Christianity, but they say they're not religious, but they're something revival. Yeah, it's a religion, and they dress the same way all the time and do all of this stuff. They're I guess you could call them a weed cult, a weed church, or weed nuns, or whatever like that. And she actually decided to start dressing like a nun after she dressed like a nun for Occupy Wall Street. What does that tell you? They give it for multiple sclerosis, muscle spasms, nausea, pain, seizures, wasting syndrome. I guess that's so you can eat more. Wasting syndrome sounds like as if you don't get to eat or whatever. How does it help? Cannabinoids, the active chemical in medical marijuana, are similar to chemicals the body makes that are involved in appetite, memory, movement, and pain. It reduces anxiety, inflammation, and relieves pain, controls nausea and vomiting caused by cancer chemotherapy, kills cancer cells and slow tumor growth, relax tight muscles in people with MS, stimulate appetite, and improve weight gain in people with cancer and AIDS. Helps with seizures. The FDA has not approved it yet, I don't believe. The only thing that they've approved it for is epilepsy and Lennox-Gastaut syndrome and Dravet syndrome. I don't know what either of those are. How to take it. To take medical marijuana, you can smoke it, inhale it through a device called a vaporizer that turns it into a mist, eat it, for example, in a brownie or a lollipop, apply it to your skin in a lotion, spray oil or cream, place a few drops of liquid under your tongue. What are the side effects? Bloodshot eyes, depression, dizziness, fast heartbeat, hallucinations, low blood pressure. Okay. So that's what they use it for. And of course, you'd have to be high to attend this fashion show. There's a fashion show for you. I always seem to bring one of those. All right, there was a few things I found on Twitter that made me giggle about marijuana. Would anybody try that? Mayowana 420 sauce. Actually, there was all kinds of people say, "Oh hell yeah, I'd try that. Oh yeah, I'd try that. Yeah, I'd want that. Then you got. Let's see. Oh, here is a person running for Congress, I believe. Maybe even the Senate.
Every 37 seconds, someone is arrested for possession of marijuana. Since 2010, state and local police have arrested an estimated 7.3 million Americans for violating marijuana laws, over half of all drug arrests. Black people are 4 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana laws than white people. States waste $3.7 billion enforcing marijuana laws every year. Most of the people police are arresting aren't dealers, but rather people with small amounts of pot, just like me. I'm Gary Chambers, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
The thing that he leaves out about this is that as many people as they arrest for actually smoking or possessing a little bit of weed, it actually is the 6th largest cash crop in Louisiana. So they kind of got themselves in a circle, and I'm pretty sure that that's probably the case in just about any of the other states where it's not legal or where they arrest people for having some or whatever, like he was just talking about. So yeah, our government is fugabooing us on that too. Here we go. Here's something interesting. How about that birthday cake? Okay, didn't really need the music, but there's got to be at least 30 joints on there, and she's smoking it through the cake, all the different little holes. That must have been a complicated cake. Let's see what else we got. Ah, yes, they're even including it in our sexual accoutrement. Trojan, cannabis-infused roll-up and wrap-up made with real THC. These are condoms. America's #1 condom. That's what I say. You look. And all I had to do was enter the word weed into the Twitter search, and that This is what we get. Things like this. Let's see what else. What else we got? Oh, here you go. These guys are old school. At the ball game. I guess this must be somewhere where it's legal. Is that a Bud Light can? I can't tell. But yeah, they went old school. See, this is the stuff that I remember. I'm going to show you something else here where they've actually gotten quite advanced, and I have to disagree with the "it doesn't make you more creative" thing, because I have seen some of the most creative things when it comes to this lifestyle as opposed to any other lifestyle. This guy made a joint or a pipe out of frickin' Starburst. I mean, tell me that's not creative if you don't have something to smoke out of, but you got candy. You can sculpture candy into a pipe. I mean, come on. And then, of course, you go from this to they actually make these now. This is actually made out of porcelain or whatever they make the bongs or whatever out of it. Like that. But yeah, imagine. Imagine you started this way when you were a kid. This is how they used to smoke way back in my day. And now they make it like this out of porcelain. A new way to smoke. Come on.
Hell no.
There we go. He's got the thing in the top with the hole in the bottle. He's jumping the water. And it looks like it's dragging on the cigarette, and then he takes the... That's crazy! Like I say, all of the creativity on this. This isn't any of the stuff that... I would never think to do any of this stuff. And then, of course, you got a hotbox machine made out of the vacuum cleaner. This to me, I think, is just... This is just a waste. This is just a waste, in my opinion. That's a giant, enormous amount of weed right there, it looks like. And they're blowing it through a vacuum cleaner. Gross. Gross. I saw those pistols, dude. Yeah, you might as well just have a bonfire and put your head over it. Alright, what's next? What's next? Okay, yeah, people smoking. I've heard of people complaining that New York smells like weed all the time. Well,
You can't just
this
smoke
why.
weed for me. Everybody else is stressed out.
Would you like to take a pull?
Yeah. That's a fact. You feel me?
Would you like to take a pull? I said, well, wait.
Yeah.
That's it all down. Good to have you right there.
That's a fact. Take a pull, shimmy.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, I got the train lit. I got the train lit.
This is how you train, nigga.
Only in New York.
Only Harlem niggas.
You want to take a pull?
Yeah, well, now we know the reason why New York always smells like weed. They even smoke it on the damn train. Let's see. Oh, here's one that blew my mind. A cop.
Cops be smoking weed now? That's crazy. She chiefing. That's crazy.
I don't know what that word means, but evidently it means she's smoking pot. She's chiefing. That was strange. I don't even know half of the words. Oh, okay. And then you got people like this. Now, I wonder how many clicks this got. And we've got acrobatic smokers. No sound on this one. But yep. All right. Oh, we still got about half an hour here. Let's see. Do I have more? I bookmarked a lot. Like I say, all I did was enter the word weed. Oh, this is cute too. People come up with the damnedest things, and like I say, I still have to disagree with the fact that they say that you don't get creative.
What's that smell? It's you. Ooh, tell me, were you just playing in the woods? 'Cause you smell like trees. Wait a second.
I like that bear. I don't know what show that is, but that's cute. That's a cute bear. Let's see. Do I have any more? I was gonna say. Oh, okay. This is what would you do after smoking this? To be honest with you, it looks so nasty. I don't think I'd put my mouth on it. First of all, it looks like a big turd. So I probably would just walk away. I wouldn't smoke any of that. That looks nasty. It looks like they wrapped up a big old turd. So worst blunt on the planet. Mohawk blunt, yeah. Bear in the big blue house. Is that what that is? Okay. You smell like tweez. Yes. That would be really amazing if she crawled up the wall. Yeah, really. Anybody remember the big ass paper in the Cheech and Chong album? Did you guys get one of those? I didn't get that. I didn't have that. Sounds like you got, yeah, it looks like a yam. It looks like it does. It looks terrible. I would not put my mouth on that. I would not smoke that. You would have to, yeah, I'd pass on that one. Let's see if I got any more. I don't even know how many I got. Ah, here we go. I thought this was funny. They're using ChatGPT.
You got mail.
Roll me a blunt, he types into ChatGPT. I like that. Roll me a blunt.
You got mail.
Now, I don't know why I would use the AOL you got mail for it, but wouldn't that be something if ChatGPT could actually do that? Like the replicator, you could actually ask it for anything. If it could do that, it could do just about anything. But I wouldn't dare smoke the marijuana from it because it would be synthetic. And isn't the synthetic stuff is what killing people? Let's see what else I got. I didn't realize how many I actually kept on a thing here. Okay, here you go. How many people have done that? It says these edibles ain't shit, so he lights it, puts down the lighter, and runs with the M80. Oh, somebody made a bowl out of a Cliff Bar. When you get to the hotel and realize you forgot paper, so you make a pipe out of a Cliff Bar. But again, creative. Oh, here you go. This was the first one.
Ric Flair drip. Mike Tyson 2.0. Go roll on a bench. Woo!
Ric Flair and Mike Tyson smoking out on the street, probably in Los Angeles somewhere. Mohawk blunt. Russian bot. I'm glad you guys are so fast with the memes. I swear. AOL's you got mail nostalgia. Yeah, that's not something I would have used for that, but it worked. Okay. All right. Here's something that blew my mind. You don't have to be stoned to check this one out. But the caption on it here, let me stop it first. When you watched him as a child, you thought he was painting the same thing over and over and over again when he was actually painting the whole journey over time. Now, this is actually just AI, but just it actually seems like something that might have happened, and it's something cool to watch whether you're stoned or not, I guess.
Let me show you what crazy thing I've got going up here today. Today I have crazy canvas here, double prime, pre-stretched.
Pretty cool though, huh? I'm pretty sure that those are all his paintings though. Limited Access says, I'd love to smoke with Bob Ross. Well, you're going to have to wait until you meet him in heaven, I guess. He hasn't even dead for a while. Okay, let's see. What else? What else? Where are we going here? My notes. Oh, okay. All right. How do you know if you're addicted to weed? They say that you can get addicted to weed, but this is from the New York Times. This is a guide to know whether or not you have to go seek help for your weed addiction. How do you know if you're addicted to weed? Nearly 6% of American teens and adults have cannabis use disorder. That's not an addiction. By their own definition, that's not an addiction. Smoking weed has always been a social activity for Julian. Oh, they're going to tell us a little story. New York Times. He first tried cannabis in high school, and as an adult, he would smoke a couple of times a month with friends. But things changed after he moved to a new city where he didn't know anyone. Julian, who asked not to use his last name when talking about a sensitive medical condition, didn't have much of a social life, so he started smoking by himself to pass the time. Weed became my friend, he said. I would get off work and would smoke because I was bored. Soon, Julian's life began to revolve around cannabis. Smoking never interfered with his work, but it stopped him from doing just about everything else. Excuse me. Typically, when you move to a new city, you establish new relationships, and I was doing none of that, he said. I was living almost like a recluse. It was only through talking to a friend that Julian realized he might have a problem. He had thought that it was impossible to be addicted to weed, but when he looked up the definition of cannabis use disorder online, he realized that he met almost all of the criteria. Oh my God, another self-diagnosis from the internet. Despite the common misconception, people can become addicted to cannabis just as they can with other drugs. Well, that's another misconception. Cannabis is not a drug. It can be used like one, but it's not a drug. The only reason why they consider it a drug is because it's on the Schedule 1 platform for being illegal. And it's all legalese stuff. Like alcohol or cocaine. I hate the fact that they compare the two because they don't have they are not anything alike. They don't have anything in comparison. And it's just so much different. As more states either decriminalize or legalize cannabis, more people are using it than ever before. According to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health, in 2021, approximately 19% of Americans 12 and older used cannabis, and nearly 6% of teens and adults qualified as having cannabis use disorder. The clinical name for addiction, for comparison, close to 11% of Americans over the age of 11 have alcohol use disorder. Oh, okay. So I say it's not a disease. It's a disorder now. And of course they word it that way. A lot of people wonder why they've reworded these things. It's so that they can be included on insurance forms and stuff. It's all in the way you say things and how they put things is whether or not they'll cover it. So you got to have certain languages for everything, especially when it comes to coverage under the governmental whatever. Let's see. According to the National Survey on Drugs Use and Health, in 2021, approximately 19% of America's 12 and older. So they got kids using cannabis. Actually, to be honest with you, I had heard and I had read somewhere that when they legalized it, the kids actually wanted it less because it wasn't any fun anymore. They weren't going to smoke it anymore because it wasn't any fun anymore because it was legal. It was more fun to smoke it when it was illegal, when they could get caught or get into more trouble with it. Now it's like, whatever. Kids, right? Most people who use cannabis do not have problems. Most people who use cannabis do not have problems related to their use and are not going to develop a cannabis use disorder, said Dr. Anyana Jordan, an associate professor of psychiatry at NYU Langhorne Health. But she added, just because cannabis is being legalized, and I actually think it should be legalized, it doesn't mean that there is not any harm associated. Of course not. Too much of anything, even a good thing, is bad for you. Brad Allen says that it really gets me fucked up when I'm drinking. Yeah, like I say, they're two different things, and I've done both before, and I don't really particularly like it. In fact, it makes me sicker. I don't know why. Let's see. The potential consequences of cannabis use disorder are not as severe as with other drugs like opiates, where overdose deaths are a dire concern. But cannabis addiction can cause a dramatic decrease in quality of life, said Dr. Christina Brizing, an assistant professor of psychiatry at Columbia University. Here's what to know. Signs of addiction. Loss of control. Taking more of the drug or using it more frequently than you intend to. Okay, that would be a loss of your control. Spending a great deal of time obtaining or using cannabis. Having an uncontrollable urge or craving to use it. Trying to stop or cut back and not being able to. Interpersonal consequences. Foregoing other social or recreational activities in order to use cannabis. Experience interpersonal conflicts as a result of your cannabis use. Failing to fulfill obligations at work or at home as a result of use. Risky use. Putting yourself in potentially dangerous situations as a result of obtaining or using cannabis. And I was going to say, in legalized places, that's not possible anymore. You know, they don't do that anymore. You just go to the store and buy it. So, continued use despite negative physical or psychological effects. Physical dependence, developing tolerance, having to use more of the drug to achieve the same effect. Experiencing withdrawal symptoms when you stop using cannabis, such as insomnia, irritability, anxiety, depressed mood, and decreased appetite. Well, of course, anything like that is going to, anytime you get your body used to something, when you stop using it, you're going to have problems. You're going to have other things. You're going to have things happen that you didn't expect. But that's true for just about anything. And again, they're saying that this stuff is terrible. None of this is going to kill you. Or anyone else for that matter. Risk factors. There are a few risk factors that can increase someone's likelihood of developing cannabis use disorder. One is starting to use the drug as a teen. Cannabis use disorder occurs in all age groups, but it's primarily a disease of young adults, said Dr. David Gorlick. Boy, I don't know who they've been talking to. They haven't been to any of the nightclubs, bars, or places that we used to play or hang out. And these people were not teenagers, believe it or not. In fact, what about Willie Nelson and people like him? What would they say about him? Let's see. Are you ready to do hard things? Yes, we will see. The Chosen. Oh, okay. Salty Al Bundy, welcome to the show. Okay, don't forget the phone lines are still open. I know you guys love to hear me talk. I don't know why, though. Wow, what happened to Rumble? My Rumble channel went... Can you still see me over there? Okay, there I am. That was weird. My Rumble monitor went completely black. Yeah, actually, I was going to say also, too, a lot of the young people do it, too, but I noticed that a lot of them outgrow it. Once they start becoming more responsible and having to do more things, and then they have kids and everything like that, they grow out of it, just like a lot of things that they grow out of. It is a recreational thing. It is something for people to party with, and et cetera, and et cetera. A lot of older folks use it for aches and pains and things like that. In fact, I was reading something... right after it became legal in some of these places, where they were saying that the older people were getting rid of a lot of their opioids and smoking pot. Not only was it cheaper for them, but it gave them less side effects. It actually gave them better. They could go out and do more things and not feel so fogged out and everything like that. It was better for them. That's why I say I don't think that I'm thinking that we're fighting over this. It's actually a plant, so it really shouldn't be illegal anyway. It's something that grows naturally if you're in the right places and stuff like that, if they'd let it. But it's also something that could actually help humanity, and it was put here. I believe it was put here just like everything else was put here by our Creator for us to use to our benefit. And basically the instructions, from what I could tell, it wasn't really specific, but from what I could tell is that everything is there for you if you need it, but you still need to use everything in moderation. Don't use things to the point of where you're absolutely out of control. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're saying. You don't know how you're hurting others, as far as that goes. And then, some people do have a problem with that. Ask for help. But a lot of this, they'll tell you, they'll propagandize you just to get you to get the help, because it means money for them. Big Pharma. So it's do it, but don't do it. Do it, but don't do it. Do it, but come to us and let us help you stop. All right, what do I got next here? Next up is the crazy, crazy creativity, if you will, of actually people rolling all kinds of different joints. Believe it or not, blew my mind. Now he's using the apple as a touchstone here, but this is piddly. But look at this. Look at this. The elephant joint. Somebody literally rolled this, and of course they got the little paper ears and everything like that. They rolled the joint and everything, but it's a little elephant joint. Then you got a total Zen joint. I think that's what I don't know. That's one of the Indian gods or whatever, with all the arms and everything like that. I don't know where you could smoke that out of. You got a unicorn over here, a flower, a tree, a plait or a braid. That's kind of neat. An airplane. You can't tell me these people aren't creative. Although they create these before they smoke the joint. But there you go. Scorpion joint. That's weird. That's real weird. All right. There's one page of them. Here's another one. This guy did it looks like an AR-15. Fully smokable joint according to this. Pikachu. He even colored it. There you go. There's one for the Christians. Do you light all three ends of this to be able to smoke this? Is that how that works? See, I know nothing about this stuff. I really don't. That looks like a trident. What's this stuff? What's the plastic rings? Does anybody know what that is? It looks like a trident, though. Somebody... Really? They rolled a pot leaf joint. I guess that's what that is. Jude, that's a good one. Old Granny, getting it on. Okay, and then there's a giant one, is a joint as long as your arm. That's not real creative. In fact, that seems wasteful to me. Then, of course, you got a Pinterest with all the different joint rolls. There's a blunt. How do you smoke that? That looks like it would fall out. You have to lay on your back to smoke that one. That looks like the minute you dump it over, it's going to dump all of that out of there. That doesn't look very practical. Let's see. Do they got any other good ones? Here's a cool biplane. There's a dinosaur. Oh, heart. I bet that's not very practical either. You got the unicorn. Here's an octopus or a kraken. A whale. So yeah, you can't tell me these people aren't creative when it comes to this stuff. Big J depends on how big the party is. Dabbing Granny. Rumble was going to play, but then it got high. All right. I found a really interesting TikTok site. It's called The Data Boys. And this particular one is U.S. deaths by drug overdose. Now, I don't expect you to really see this that well on here, but you can go to The Data Boys, the THEDATABOYS on TikTok. Not real hard to find, just to pull that up. And they got all kinds of movable charts. This one is the deaths by U.S. drug overdose, the opioid epidemic. And I noticed that marijuana is not on here. But check this out. It's kind of neat. Play, damn you. What is going on? Having some technical difficulties here with this. All right, let me see if I can reset it here. There we go. Prescription opioids are on the top. Cocaine is the one that's coming down. Meth and fentanyl are at the bottom, and it's the 2007, 2008. Cocaine's coming down more. Prescription opioids are still at the very top. Watch how fast fentanyl goes up. Look at this. And actually, if you notice, everything went up towards the end there. The ending was 2020. But like I say, if you want to go check that out, they do a whole bunch of those little graphs like that move throughout and are animated like that. Really cool. Really cool. All right. All right. This is in case you get the munchies. I think they went a little far with this, but it's actually kind of funny. And it actually it actually tells a little bit about the way things are going nowadays, too. That's if you get the munchies real bad. All right, a couple more funny things before we leave out of here and send John over to Rocky's Way. This is really funny. This is actually Canadian satire.
This car's been stopped for quite some time. I'm going to check it out. Excuse me, have you been smoking any pot today? No. Well, you've been stopped here for 15 minutes. Can you tell me why that is?
We're waiting for the stop sign to turn green.
How high are you?
How are you?
No, I said, how high are you?
Hi, how are you? This guy was so friendly, babe.
Okay, I am going to have to conduct a pot sobriety test.
Oh man, I'm too high for that.
Hey, is that a breathalyzer?
No. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a few questions to determine your ability to drive. Why is a pizza box square when the pizza's a circle and all the little slices are tiny triangles? Which of these two snacks would you prefer? Chips or the cookie dough? Step out of the car, please. Let's go.
Please,
oh, man.
don't drive high. We're getting cookie dough all over the back of our cruisers. A message from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Weed humor, and of course there's 4 of them on here. I'll only play the first couple.
Have you ordered a pizza? Has it not arrived yet? You could be entitled to punitive and compensatory damages up to $5 million. At Young and High, we specialize in cases of extreme snack delay. Our attorneys have a combined 60 years experience in helping victims of dilatory foodstuff syndrome get the restitution and justice they deserve. And we don't get a slice unless you do.
Oh, God, it's good.
Call the attorneys at Young and High right now, because after all, it's been like 45 minutes, am I right? What the fuck? Call now.
Everyone loves marijuana butter, but who has time to make it? All the mixing, melting, pouring, giggling. Hi, I'm paid actress Mary Fakanami, and this is the Bud Butter Buddy, the revolutionary invention that makes making marijuana butter more good. Look to right. With the Bud Butter Buddy, all you have to do is add butter and cannabis. The secret is our ON button, which activates the machine using the very electricity flowing through the walls of your home.
Bzzz.
Light up a joint and forget it for 30 minutes.
6 days later.
What the fuck? The butter. The Bud Butter Buddy, available at these crappy ass stores.
Yep. If only they had those crappy ass stores. All right. This next one's not that funny anyway. Oh, that's actually about it for me at the moment. Let's see, where am I? All right, yes, okay. Don't forget to support the folks on Rougarou's interactive Pure Blood schedule, and be sure to head on over to the Drunken Rocky show right after this. Let me know if there's anything you want me to cover, anything you want me to know, anything you want me to take care, anything you want me to, my opinions on or anything like that. You can send them to my email address, which is down there as well. Also, too, you guys, I haven't gotten any stingers or anything like that or commercials for my show or yours. Still waiting on those. I guess I'll be waiting forever. Appreciate all of you for being here tonight. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the calls. Thank you for the donations and everything like that. And of course, all my links are below. Share, share, share. I'll be posting this in a little while. God bless you. God bless America. I hope that you all have peace, love, health, and music. God bless you all. And until next time, AMF.